Rob's Roundtable Mailbag special for all of our fans.
Mailing it in.
We have like 8 fans, like hardcore fans that watch most episodes. I'd like to add a 0 or a couple zeros, but let's start with 1 0.
Yep.
So
one digit at a time.
Start watching, guys. We'd appreciate it. But for those of you that do watch, give you a little tribute, answer some questions, get to know us a little bit. I mean, you already know me, so let's get to know Nick O a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you can show him the old face a few times. You know, all the things you love to do.
Look what I can do.
Brian Wright, first off, requests a story time with Rob. I figured I'd bring it back, so I have a quick story time with Rob for you. So, I was talking to a buddy of mine at work, unnamed guy, and he's married, and he's like, I was asking him, did he sleep with his wife last night? We talk about this kind of thing, right? And he's like, no. I was like, well, did you sneak off and, do a little something? He's like, well, we sleep in the same bed. I was like, take the garbage out, right?
What? Why would I need a hall pass? I got you.
No, not tonight you don't. I'm bloated and I have cramps.
Ah, shit. I forgot to take out the trash.
Sneak out to the garbage, but just don't get caught by the cops in the driveway.
I know you feel, believe it's true.
Brings me to my story time. Was when I was in high school, I had a couple friends. Again, no names on these. I'll probably look it up in the Daily Herald. I'm not going to tell you the year, so good luck finding that one.
When you were in high school, you've now limited it quite a bit.
You don't know how old I am. I'm 24.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. So my buddy, pretty prominent family, really rich dad, apparently decides to go to Meijer parking lot in the middle of the day and pleasure himself. Someone must have seen him because he didn't have tinted windows for some reason. Called the cops. I guess he takes a long time to do it, maybe because he was in the Meijer parking lot. I would probably be quick about it.
Right? He's distracted.
Gets arrested.
Okay, ma'am. If you say he's yours, you can have him.
In the paper. Probably ruined his life. I mean, that's bad, dude.
That's crazy.
You're a sex offender. You are...
if you're rich, there's so many other places you could have gone, and why wouldn't you have tinted
You
windows?
have 9 bedrooms in your house.
Yeah.
Find a bedroom. I'm cleaning, honey.
Yeah.
Nope. In the Meijer parking lot. So don't... Be careful when you go to Meijer.
Right?
Yeah, that's like Jared Subway thing. That's
crazy.
ruining Meyer's name, okay?
Yeah, there's a guy with the last place I worked apparently got caught doing that more than once in the boss's office on his couch after hours because there's different shifts.
Woo! These people can't wait.
Nope.
Holy shit.
I can't. There's no way at work or in a parking lot. Like there's no way.
Maybe it's the thrill.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not that excited about grocery shopping.
I'm gonna go on a thrill. I'll go like skydiving or like bungee jumping or a roller coaster even.
Yeah.
Speed in my car while doing it. No. All right. Mailbag, baby.
Awful.
All right, also, and start with his real quick. Loyal listener, great guy. Amazing fantasy player, by the way. One of the best I've seen. I think a 60% win percentage in Yahoo, which I go by opposed to championships. That's longevity. That is consistency. His first question here. With everyone pushing up wide receivers and quarterbacks, is it better to go running back early and take advantage, kind of like a zig when everyone else zags kind of thing? What do you think about this year? Because it's mostly wide receivers early, quarterbacks are going early. Do you go early running back? Because it always was a strategy before, and now it's kind of not.
Yeah, and then you went zero RB was a thing.
Yeah,
and then you wait and you do whatever.
It's cyclical, man.
It's your roster construction is going to dictate a lot of this. If you're talking a standard league with 2 running backs and 3 receivers, again, that's why receivers get moved up. You're starting 3 every week. If it's full PPR, you're starting 4. If you got a flex, so there's a lot of variables, right? But as a whole, the running back world is such an unknown to me this year and lacks depth. And there's a ton of shared backfields. So if you're not getting one of those workhorses early, it's kind of a crapshoot. And I feel good about a lot of late receivers. We like some of the rookies. I plan on going running back early. At least one of my first 2 picks.
Yeah.
This year.
I disagree with you on that just because I like the top 4 or 5 guys, whatever we think the tier break is. I just love so many guys from 18 to 28 that it steers me away from. I am traditionally a guy that zigs when everyone else zags or vice versa. But I want to take value where I can get it. And if it is at running back, I'll take it. If it's at somewhere, because if other people think like that, then I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah.
So I don't ever go with a set strategy. But that was a great question. What's the biggest mistake that average people make in fantasy and how can they get better?
You just said it. You literally just said it. You do not come in with a set strategy.
Never.
That is the biggest mistake everybody makes, is that, and they get too caught up on the onesie positions or filling their roster out, and they go too early on a quarterback, or they back up those onesie positions.
Yeah,
they don't know their league scoring. Or I need to do this in the first 4 rounds. And if you stick to that, you end up reaching on some bullshit.
One of the worst I've heard is a guy in one of my leagues took was it Lamar and Aaron Rodgers when he was going high, and he's like, oh, I can just trade him. I'm like, you just drafted someone to trade, and now everyone knows that you're not gonna get shit.
Nope.
Unless there's a major injury or someone has all these guys, but you're banking on shit to happen. Don't do that.
Never draft a trade.
So my answer was the same as yours, man.
Yeah.
Don't go in with a set strategy. You can have guys you target, and that should be later rounds. I like going bold later and reaching later. Don't reach early because you're also giving value to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Next question here. Is it possible to consistently win in fantasy if you only play 1 or 2 leagues? That's an easy no. It is not, because there's so many variables. Why do I play 25 leagues? I guarantee myself in the money every time, because I love my guys, right? And I'll take a lot of shares of my later guys, but I won't take, if a guy's going ADP 26, I don't have to have him anymore. I'm going to get half shares. And I also don't want 90% share of anyone because it's football.
Yeah.
And if I get him at ADP and I like him, I like that. Other than that, other players, I want after ADP.
And if you've got 2 or 3 leagues and you've got a guy, right? If you're watching these shows now, we've got guys. I've got similar guys on a lot of my rosters in best ball already. I've got similar ones I'm going to target once redraft starts. But if you get that same guy on all 2 or 3, you're asked out. And then
he gets hurt.
You also, if he gets hurt or something happens, you may hit a home run with the guy. I'm not saying you're going to be wrong, but let's say he gets hurt or it's a miss. You're in trouble in all your leagues.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm not taking this guy here, and now I got to take someone different, and you take someone you don't love, and that doesn't pan out either. Now you're done in 2 leagues.
The biggest problem with doing the 1 league, for instance, I have guys, Dave Brainerd, sorry, buddy, great fantasy player, but he loves his guys. He has guys he has to have every year. Because he plays 1 league, he reaches because he cannot live without this guy that year. And sometimes it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. And if he played 10, for instance, he would get that guy in 3 or 4 at value opposed to once at non-value. And you do that 4 times out of 8 picks.
Yeah.
Where are you at? Even if they hit, they're not going to hit like they would if you got him 8 picks later, for instance. Next question he has some good ones here. What are your goals for the podcast? We'll kind of run over this. I want to make bank, bro.
Why do I want this?
Yeah.
Because I want to make bank, bro. I want to get ass. I want to drive a Range Rover.
No, I like hanging out with my buddies, right? Cap and me and him started it, had so many great memories. It was a bonding experience, a set day to hang out, like a bowling league, right? We wouldn't go bowling a lot, but if we have a bowling league, every fucking week. We have a podcast, we're talking football all the time. How often do we hang out other than that? Not as much. And it's built a nice friendship here that I hope is going to be lifelong. Not even just for the pod, but we already had that before in texting. We never met that much before. Believe it or not, me and this guy met, twice ever before we started this? Before I invited you on as a guest?
Yeah.
And we had a football bond,
and
right?
a lot of ties through friends and family.
But we didn't know we had a
over the
friendship
years,
bond or these ways we see the world and the way we think, and it's awesome, man. I mean, and so what are your goals? To make bank, bro?
Right? Nah, man. It's to just talk about my passion. Just share it with other people. I'm one, I love to teach. I love to help people. I want to bring positive energy to the world. And I live and breathe this shit, dude.
Same.
I want to talk as much as I can about it to everybody that I can when I have time. And this is my platform to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And for me also, just so that I do other stuff than football on this, it's a time capsule and kind of a documenting my life, man.
Yeah,
because,
it's
weird.
crazy when you watch almost 200 episodes.
Yeah, and when it gets to 1,000 and I'm fucking 70, I'd be like, what was I doing in 2024? Talking about dicks and drinking beer. What am I doing in 2074? Drinking beer and talking about dicks. Sounds like me.
Is your sign on?
Yeah. No, whatever. Last one, follow up. What do you think the biggest edge is in winning and losing in fantasy? Mine is paying attention, dude, the weekly shit, and just being on top of shit, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
It's that easy. It's staying in tune. Make sure you buy a magazine right before you draft.
Ben Levelstein, shout out, magazine. All right, next guy, Brian. Great questions, love you, man. Mark Spitz, one of our boys. He had a great question here. He wants to know about you outside of the podcast, a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
They all know about me. Dicks and beer. But what about you, man?
Outside of the pod is all family, man. If it's not football, it's the wife and kids. We bought a camper this year. We've been doing that at least once a month. Camping, fishing, family, grandparents, all that stuff, man. A lot of friends in the area with kids the same age, and it's all just that quality time, whether it's just us out camping or whether it's like this last weekend. One friends of ours have a 4th of July party every year. It's, 50, 60 people, a huge bonfire, and it's an annual thing that, you get enough of those every year and enough people established in an area. It's a good time, man. So that's it, football and family.
He's a great dude. I'm lucky to have him come into my crazy world. Also, tell him about your job. Where do you work? What do you do?
Work doing non-destructive testing on aircraft wheels, brakes. It's kind of a niche thing. I started as an aircraft mechanic and then specialized in inspection. Worked my way up to where now it's I'm responsible for the FAA compliance, for airworthiness, for making sure these inspections are done right. The most dangerous part of flying is takeoff and landing, and we're doing wheels and brakes. So
very impressive dude. Impressive dude. Again, lumped in with me. I service rich people.
Yep.
Really, I do. I work at a country club,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not
And
quite that kind of stuff. But
some of them we're doing is Gulfstreams and Learjets, and people are flying around on their
that's
private
crazy.
jets.
Very interesting, dude. Predictions for the Bears. Where will they end up? Now, I'm a Bears fan. You are not, so I'll start with you first.
Okay. They're going to be in the wild card hunt. I've got them around 8-9 wins. They're going to be around that. Can't hit 500 anymore, but around the 500 mark.
The one problem with that is everyone's in the wild card hunt now. But
Yeah, right?
no, I like that. We were the worst team in the league last year, and it's going to be exciting. I guess is the one thing for me, right?
There's a
It's gonna
ton
be
of potential,
excitement.
and you can't count on it yet. And again, Bears fans, don't get too excited because you seem to get shit on every year some way or another. But the potential is there.
Could you see them winning 12 games?
No,
Really?
not this year.
Not
I don't
a
think
Josh
so.
Allen, Diggs kind of leap thing?
I don't quite see it. Next year, sure. I'll maybe go up to 12 next year, but
One of those things. I can see it. Rose-colored glasses,
Yep.
whatever that is. All right, Sean Gocher, our boy, is going to be on the gambling segment. A good friend of mine. Couple questions here. What division is the most wide open where anyone could win? I have a pretty easy answer for this. It is the NFC South.
the NFC Scroat.
Yeah, the Scroat division. I don't know. I mean, Saints, favorite. I don't know. Derek Carr, I don't know about that. Falcons are second, but they're still the Falcons with Desmond Ritter. The Buccaneers, no Tom Brady, but still
Baker.
1 year away from a championship pedigree team. And then, who's the last? The Panthers.
Yeah,
X Factor.
rookies.
But they're like DVOA in last year. Everything, their defense was like really good.
They are.
So, but they have a rookie quarterback, and they gave up a lot to get that rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Lost a little bit of depth. J.C. Horn's coming back. Not to get into the Panthers too much. Shout out Hank Mardukis, Panthers fan. That's the most wide open one, right? Or do you have another one?
No, it
that comes to
absolutely
mind?
is. The only other one that I would consider is the AFC North.
Yeah.
I love the Bills and I want them to dominate, but I also have a lot of faith in what the Jets and Miami are capable of doing, and you can never discount Belichick, man.
That's the East.
Or East,
The
sorry.
East, yeah.
I said North, didn't I? No. I knew I had the teams right in my head.
But that division also, dude.
The Bengals, Browns, Steelers, and Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one is like,
too.
but it's weird because like I said, the division that all sucks. That's the division that's all good.
Yeah.
Historically good, beats each other up. So there's a lot, but like I think those three, also the East with the Bills, but I feel like the Bills are just a cut above.
I think so,
The
but they
Dolphins, X
never
Factor.
seem to finish. Like they come up a little short every
Just
year
like
where
Shanahan.
we want them to.
Yeah, we just had that conversation. These kids are artificially inseminated.
Yep.
Will
Shooting little poofs.
Will Aaron Rodgers get injured again at this stage of his career?
Yes.
That's pretty easy for you.
He won't miss time, but he'll get injured.
Okay, this is forwarded from his friend Jimmy Hess. I don't know if you watch the show. Hopefully you do. If you don't, watch it. Subscribe, please. Spread it to your friends. I want this to be like a STD.
How
Just
else is he gonna know
spread
the
like
answer?
wildfire, baby. Well, maybe he'll watch this episode, but
Okay.
watch them all. They're good.
Like Canadian wildfire.
There you go. Yeah, just like killing our air right now. God damn it. I love Canadians, but how do you see the Jaguars wide receiver room break down division of targets, and who is the clear one there?
That's easy.
That's easy.
That's real
Yes.
easy. I am in love with this dude this year, man. Ridley is easily the one in that locker room and on that team. He's going to be fantastic. I haven't seen him fall off. He's just been hanging out, working out, whatever. T-Law's way better than any Matt Ryan that Ridley ever got to play with.
True.
The supporting cast is there. I'm not scared of that division. I think Ridley dominates. He's, dude, I don't know.
What do you think about
top 5
Christian
receiver
Kirk,
at the
though?
end of the year? Kirk's the clear
Same
two,
role
like,
he had, kind of thing.
Yeah.
With a better offense, possibly.
Yeah, and I think he'll put up similar numbers to what he had last year.
Yeah.
And then the
Got
third
Zay
one is
Jones.
Zay.
Marvin Jones is gone. You have Zay Jones,
Yeah.
though, and you still have Evan Ingram and ETN, which we think, I mean, it has to be more involved in the past
We
game
hope.
last year.
We
He
hope,
has to.
Yeah.
So Evan Ingram, though, is my big loser in this situation because he's dropping down a peg, and he's also injury prone as shit.
And a year older.
And a year older. Although I've always loved Evan Ingram. He's a wide receiver playing tight end.
Yeah.
Zay Jones probably takes the biggest fall for me because you were telling me about your best ball. I was like, don't draft Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, who knows, dude? If they have a 5,000-yard passing team. All right, next guy here, Austin Doty. My boy, Austin. Love them. I hope you're having fun in Reno, my man. Shooting guns, playing golf, all those things.
Nice.
He's going full Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah,
on us,
right?
dude. Hopefully you're not doing acid.
Or ether.
Yes, yeah, or any of the other things he did. This is a good one. If the Patriots get Hopkins, are they a playoff team? And how much does that help Mac Jones?
It obviously helps Jones tremendously. I don't think they make the playoffs, but they're in a wild card hunt. They're in a tough division, and like I just said, that division's up for grabs. And I have a really hard time counting Belichick out. You're bringing Stevenson back, who you mentioned earlier, finishes RB7. Jones, if he can avoid the turnovers, they got Patricia out of there. I think that offense is going to continue to grow. They'd have a shot at the wild card, but I don't see him winning the division, even with Hopkins.
Yeah, I like it. I like it for Hopkins, target hog. I hate it for my boy Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen because I have him everywhere in best ball. But yeah, it's going to help Mac Jones a lot. I don't know if he's going to be fantasy relevant, but best ball, if he's going 19, or I don't know where he's going off the top of my head, 19, 20. I'd put him to 14, 15.
In redraft,
right?
he'd be the prototypical Andy Dalton. Like, that's where I set the bar. Andy Dalton's always
bye-week filler.
14 to 16, right? The Andy Dalton line, or whatever you want to call
But
it.
we all forget, though, Mac Jones was a first-round pick, and he's very smart. Now, he's not very good, but he had a great rookie year, bad second year. This is a make or break for his career, for the Patriots, for Bill Belichick, man.
I think so.
So, last question here. Who is both of our favorite player in the game right now?
Well, real quick, before this one, I'm going to loop back to the Mac.
Is it Mac Jones, their favorite player?
No. Did you see the report, though, that when the Niners first traded up in the draft, it was for Mac Jones.
Crazy.
But they were still evaluating quarterbacks, and they changed their mind after they traded up to take Trey Lance.
That's a bad trade-up.
My
my
question to you, though, is, it was a bad trade-up at this point. But would Mac Jones have been significantly better in the Niners offense?
Yes.
And than he is in New England?
We saw what Brock Purdy's done.
Yeah.
I mean...
So, the Niners, that was a huge miss. You think Mac Jones, they would have... Kyle Shanahan would have came? He'd have finished?
He finally finished, yeah. My answer, my favorite player is Trey Lance. I'm kidding. Man, I love... See, a lot of people hate this guy. I love Lamar Jackson, okay? I just feel like he's been hated on. I mostly like players people hate on, right?
Yeah.
They hate on him so much. Justin Fields, I've been an advocate. I'm a Bears fan, but not a crazy Bears fan. All the hate on Justin Fields has gone too fucking far, dude. He hasn't had any chance to evaluate. All I know is he's a warrior. He's a great kid. He's only killed in college. We've had no way to evaluate him.
He did learn to progress last year, though. Like, you saw in the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, he's making the reads. He's making progressions. He wasn't just a run-first guy. It's, I don't know, people that don't watch the film or don't really understand the kind of nuances of the game, they're the ones that are hating. The people that are educated, the people that watch this show, they know the Fields is legit.
My favorite player is Dwayne Haskins.
my favorite current player in the NFL. It's kind of funny because it's an anti-fantasy take in a way. I'm a defensive guy, man. I love defense. I love watching it, and I love the way that Fred Warner plays the game.
Yep.
That dude flies around, is super smart. He makes plays that linebackers should not be able to make on the field because he's such an athlete, and you never know what you're going to get out of him, man.
A Niners player, what do you know?
I know.
Ties in the Niners take, ties into my next question. Serb Jew. That's his Xbox gamer tag. My buddy, Adam, lives in Canada. Great guy, watches the show, appreciate you. Do the 49ers take the division with ease, or do the Seahawks make it interesting? So essentially he's saying, obviously the Cardinals have no chance.
No.
I still kind of believe in the Rams, dude. I know it's crazy to say. Again, 1 year removed from being a championship team, like legitimately won the championship. It's hard for them to say they're going to win the division, but I trust Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Last Hurrah, Cooper Kupp. Their defense sucks. They still have Aaron Donald.
That's the problem.
But-
Is the defense sucks, man. They're
I know.
not going to be able to hold
We'll
up.
see. We'll see. But we'll just say 49ers Seahawks. The Seahawks make it interesting.
I unfortunately think so because Pete Carroll is like the bane of my fucking existence.
You
like
hate
I
that
can't
guy.
stand
Petey
Petey
fucking
Sunshine,
Sunshine.
up
Hey.
there just slopping on his big cud like a fucking cow out in
Chewing
the pasture.
gum, bro.
Dude drives me nuts. Like I want him to retire so bad.
He is.
And because of that, I'm always a little bit tortured by Seattle. I think the Niners should be the favorite to win the division, but you've got all the question marks at quarterback. Everybody's got to stay healthy, which is an obvious problem every year for the 49ers. And Pete Carroll has the recipe. He has the players. All they did was get better in the draft. Who did they lose? That's an impact player.
Nobody.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be right there, unfortunately.
This guy's a genius. I didn't give him any of these questions, by the way. I didn't do any writing notes. We know our shit. Last question. Jaguars. Walk away with the division? This is from Serb as well.
Yeah,
Walk
I
away.
think so, man. I think so.
Not Richardson.
No.
Not
Not
Texans,
Minshew running Indy.
Not the Texans.
No, D'Amico's going to get
The
that
Titans,
defense a
though?
lot
Come
better this year.
on. Mike Vrabel.
No, I don't
No?
see it. Not with Tannehill handing the torch off to Levis. I'm out, dude. It's the Jaguars and
Yeah, Jaguars.
Their fancy car.
Yeah. All right, Mike Campbell. My boy Mike Campbell. Love you. This is a dynasty question. We're not a dynasty show, but I've never really played a dynasty league, but I know how it works.
I want to
listen
start
podcasts.
one, man. You ready?
Maybe.
I want to start one.
For
Let's
the
do
pod.
it. Let's
Dynasty
do it.
pod.
Yep.
His question is, with Dynasty and how to work through drafting a team, do you choose specific positions or do you weigh specific positions over another when you start a Dynasty team? I'll give you my answer is avoid running backs because they don't last very long.
So your answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Quarterbacks, wide receivers. They last forever. Get yourself a Joe Burrow type. They're going to last 13 years. Give yourself a Justin Jefferson type. Look at Joe Mixon, man. He is. Look at Todd Gurley. Bro. He was the number one Dynasty player, and then he wasn't 2 years later.
Yeah.
So you get those guys at value when they're kind of in their right now, Joe Mixon, I'd be buying that if I was a championship team for nothing from a bad team because he has 1 year left, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe not even. But you don't want to be drafting these guys. Jameer Gibbs, they're one injury away, man.
Yeah, but roster construction in Dynasty absolutely are looking at young quarterback early, and wide receiver after that. Otherwise, tight end you can grab whoever and fill them in. Running backs you can watch this show and get guys like Tank Bigsby and Ty Chandler and all kinds of fantastic later guys, as well as we'll set you up next year for your Dynasty draft when you're drafting rookies. Watch our rookie show, running backs, and you'll get those guys. So you got nothing to worry about, man.
And you also never, tight ends, you don't want to go early tight ends because it takes 2 to 3 to... Kyle Pitts still hasn't made it.
Yeah.
The best prospect we've ever seen, right? It takes 4 or 5 years for these guys.
What do you
so
do?
just
Take
waiver wire them, dude.
Old Kelsey, old Kittle,
Right.
old Andrews. None of these guys are that young. How long are you gonna have them on your team?
Look at Evan Ingram, right?
It's not worth where you'd have to pay for him right now.
Evan Ingram you could have got for nothing going into last year.
Yeah.
He was a top 9 tight end. So I like that. Rob Capizzello, Kappa, my boy, OG of the pod. He's going to come on for the 200th episode. What's up, Kappa? Love you. He had an interesting question for us. If you're tiebreakers for drafting guys, if you see a guy, on a good team or they have 4 or 5 primetime games, we're not talking Thursday night, we're talking primetime, right? Even the 3:25 game, mostly Sunday night, Monday night, compared to a guy on the Texans who's going to have 1 primetime game. What do you think their performance? Do you think it helps their performance, certain guys in primetime games, or hurt their performance? So would you make that a tiebreaker? Would you not factor in it at all? What do you think?
First off, I gotta tip the cap to Kappa here and say thanks, man, for easing me into this. Rob's a big hole to fill. You made it easy where you and I could kind of work in there together. And
You just said hit a loose asshole?
hand it off. Pass the baton, per se. Look forward to having you on some more, man. You're a blast. But I don't carry any stock or put any weight into when they're going to be in primetime or not, or how many primetime games they have. My tiebreakers are typically how good of an offense it is. That's where my tiebreakers go. Or do I have the guy in a bunch of other leagues? Or do I just want to root for one guy more than the other?
Yeah. And it's nice to have primetime games, too. It's the end of the matchup, right?
Yeah.
And my answer is certain guys crumble in that situation. Kirk Cousins
yeah.
don't like that
I
in
know.
primetime games.
I know.
A guy like Antonio Brown, all right? always showed out, right? And like, it's hard to like look at the schedule, but like a guy like that, where a guy like Justin Jefferson we've seen does not do good in those games, right?
Because Cousins sucks in those games.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's it.
But I mean, that's like really reading into it. But it was an interesting question, just because like we do want guys like for me in lineup decisions, right? Like sometimes I do choose the late guy, just because it's nice to have that in your back pocket, right?
I see both sides of that
right.
coin, though, because there's times where, like, I want to watch somebody go Thursday, and I want to have a lead going into the weekend. But if I don't, is that going to bother me more than trying to play catch-up on Monday night?
Right.
And it's just kind of how you're wired, is how you guys
Thursday you want, like, IDPs and team defenses, let's be honest. Like, or, like, penalty bets. You know, some stupid shit like that. Last question he had is, what position will you benefit most from if you draft the number one guy at their position? Now, like, obviously, if you don't read in the question too much, it's like tight end Kelsey. But in terms of, like, where will you make your hay, mine is running back, because when you see a running back really go off, i.e. Todd Gurley in his years, you won. I know this specifically because I had Todd Gurley every year, or every team the first year. Bro, I won so much money because in the championship week, he had like 41 points and like 38 points.
Yeah, and it's so many variables with scoring.
Yeah.
But in PPR, I'd almost want to say receiver.
Because we saw Cooper Kupp.
In half or in standard, I'd want to say running back. And in 6-point passing, I might think about quarterback.
Look at that.
So it's kind of a tough one, but
just when that running back hits, though, it's unreal. Daniel Tomlinson, we've seen it, man. It's like you just don't want to face that guy because no matter what, the game flow doesn't matter. Because when they're losing, they get catches. When they're winning, they get 3 touchdowns. They get the long touchdown runs. They get the guarantee. Like running back, receivers sometimes only get 8 targets.
Yeah.
You know that dude's getting 20. Like Todd Gurley was getting 28 touches, dude. You can't beat that.
No. And I get it. And if I had to choose one, like I'd probably lean that way. But at the end of the day, I could make an argument for if I don't have to pay Kelsey's price, but I could get his production, that would set me way apart from everybody else too.
Yeah.
And it could be tight end. I mean...
Yeah, it could be. Okay, last guy here. A lot of questions. Our number one fan. Gotta shout out Ben Bartelt, my boy. He's watched every episode of the pod.
You're number one.
He's watched every episode from the beginning because he always told me, he's like, man, I would watch your podcast, like just from working with me and just me talking, telling stories. He's like, dude, I'd watch it. Started it. He's been from the beginning. My dad also, I actually have a question for my dad later. That's going to be the last one we do, but... Of course, it's my dad, though, unfortunately. Like, I love you, Dad, but, like, he's more tied from blood and semen, apparently, because I was his semen. You know what I mean? Like, Ben is just a friend. A young guy. He's 22 years old. Love him. First question. Nick O, can you get me a job at Boeing? Super smart guy. I told you about him.
We literally just had a guy accept an offer today.
Yeah?
So
in the future, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll refer you.
Yep.
What needs to happen for the Bears to have a stellar season? He's a Bears fan.
Okay. This one's pretty easy, and it's Justin Fields has to take the step forward that we know he's capable of, and that offensive line has to keep him upright.
That's it. Yeah, and also a little bit of play calling, right? But that's also tied in. Like, we don't know if the reason they didn't call the plays is because they didn't trust Justin Fields. But it's like one of those things in golf, right? Like, if you're not that great, just try to make the putt.
Yeah.
Don't lag it up there. Be aggressive. And we're not a championship team this year. Be aggressive. Let's see what the kid can do. Let's call some plays downfield. Again, can you trust him to be upright? And you don't want him to have a bad knee injury. But you know what sucks also? If you can't evaluate the guy and we don't know what to do with him when he has his fourth-year option, I don't want to let that guy walk.
No.
If you don't even know what he is, because I know he's got the talent, right?
And so for me, give the fans another little look into the history of Nick O-Face over here. Oh.
Oh. You know what I'm talking about. Oh.
Ooh, love it.
I used to coach a semi-pro football league out in DeKalb, right? We were the Chaos was the name of our team, and I was a defensive line coach. I grew up playing offense and defensive line. I'm a big dude, so you always get thrown on the line, right? And being a D-line coach there and having passion for defense and knowing it all starts in the trenches, man. People get so excited about wide receivers in the draft or running backs or whatever. I remember the Niners took 2 offensive linemen in the first round, and it was amazing. Like, I couldn't have been more excited because that's where it starts, man. And it's edge rushers, it's tackles. The Niners are the best left tackle in the game with Williams, and they drafted Bosa, right? They go and get Hargrave. Granted, can't finish. We all know that. But they punch their ticket to the dance almost every year, and it's because of the depth that they have at the line. And the Bears are trying. They took Jenkins, was it? Number 10 overall this year. You're watching the guys they have progress. The defensive line is going to be their downfall at this point. They have no pass rushers, man, and it's terrifying.
I'm fine with that because it's going to allow Justin Fields to have to throw the ball. I'm saying because we're not winning a Super Bowl, man. Yeah. Like, and if we do, like, Josh Allen had that leap. Have they won a Super Bowl?
But
no.
The question is, how do the Bears progress and succeed?
Yeah.
It's all tied to the trenches, man. Yeah. And I don't know how far they can go without a good D-line.
Who has the most upside from this draft class? That's an interesting question because you're adding quarterbacks and all that shit. The answer is Anthony Richardson. Also has the most downside, but his upside is what we saw from Cam Newton. Right, but more athletic, and we saw Cam Newton break fantasy football and almost the NFL because they went 15-1. Now they ran into a buzzsaw in the Broncos, and Cam Newton he's kind of a diva. But like, dude, that year was unreal. Throwing to scrubs, Anthony Richardson, those players. That's what I love about Justin Fields is they don't need, as long as you have a decent O-line, they don't need the weapons because they're almost like positionless in terms of like they can make it happen.
They can buy the time.
And they can dictate single coverage because you have to have guys watching the run, watching his run, big arm.
And corners can't cover for longer than 3 seconds, man. The receivers are just
too
good in the NFL these days.
Yep.
So.
Is that your answer? Or?
It is. I completely agree.
It has to be the most upside. Also the most downside, too.
I like Bijan, too. I feel like he's getting overdrafted, but just his talent as a whole, like he could dominate. But he's getting drafted at his peak right now, and I'm not going to take that there.
Okay, last question. My dad, shout out. Another guy's watched every episode. Thank you, Dad. We're trying to clean it up a bit for you. I think we've done a good job the last two, right?
Right,
Look
I think so,
Look
yeah.
at us.
We're going to really own the title professionals pretty soon.
Yeah, soon enough.
We were just fanatics before, right? You got professional and fanatics. we're trying to tip the scales a little, balance this out.
Once we make a little money, maybe. He's getting into fantasy. He's done it. He did one league a while back, right? And he's been watching the show. I'm like, dude, just do it. It'll make the show more interesting for you. Obviously, he's watched every episode. Mm-hmm. He has an idea of these names. His question was, what's like the biggest advice you'd give to a new fantasy player? Because our show, we're a little advanced. I played 25 leagues. We've done it forever.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily cater to the basic question in terms of roster construction as much, or like just like the early names that like what to do kind of thing. So what kind of advice would you give a first timer, right? Or any of our buddies' girlfriends or girls? Not to be sexist, but like a lot of them are first timers.
Anyone that doesn't live and breathe it, right?
There you go. What kind of advice?
I like be flexible is a real good one, right? Don't come in with a hard draft strategy. But besides that, it's know your league scoring. Mm-hmm. Know and understand your league scoring and how to take advantage of that based on statistics.
Yeah.
And put this much weight into last year's statistics and apply those to your league scoring, and that'll give you a rough start of who's potentially going to be successful in your league. Because standard versus full PPR, you should be able to form your own opinions at some point about who you're going to take, not just trust fantasy pros like the other 1,200 people that are looking at the same rankings. That gives you no advantage.
And if you know football, which a lot of these people don't know fantasy, but they know football, kind of rests on that a bit too, in terms of like, oh, this is a good team tied to a good quarterback, right? Or this system, any of those kind of things, right? And just don't overthink it, right? Mm-hmm. Look at ADP. Don't reach, but also don't just go chalk.
Yeah, don't trust your site rankings. That's another
don't
good
do that.
one.
The site rankings, but ADP I trust more than site rankings. And also look at 3 sites, right? If you're doing Yahoo, look at ESPN, look at Fantrax, look at the Fantasy Pros ECR, right? Expert consensus rankings. Kind of and then make your own rankings, right? Mm-hmm. Watch this show, watch other podcasts, read some stuff before your draft, do some mock drafts. I'm not a fan of mock drafts. Do some best balls, whatever the hell you want to do.
Mock drafts are great just because they give you an idea of ADP.
Fuck around. Fuck around and see where people are going. See if you take a quarterback here, do you like your roster, right? And like maybe you like the quarterback there, but it's like, oh, I took Mahomes in the second, and it's like I like Herbert too, and then Herbert goes in the 6th.
Mock drafts are my go-to coming up in fantasy, man. I did this many my first year, and like it's tapered down the more years that I do it.
And now you're going back?
Early on, I don't do a lot of them still. But early on, it's a fantastic way to understand how you want to build your roster and what it looks like after the fact. And if you keep tabs on those and see how they would have done at the end of the year, you can use it for the next year.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome info. Thanks for all your questions. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll maybe do another one of these too.
This was fun. Just shoot them in, man. I love just kind of off the cuff here. Like he said, I had no idea what any of these questions were, and that's feeding the fire, man. I like it. It's exciting for me. It's
We
hot.
appreciate you. I appreciate this guy. This is Professional Fanatics, Rob's Roundtable. Let's get it.
Thanks for hosting.
Yeah.
And it's been a complete joy.
Hello. Yeah? I'm here for the gangbang.